Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Roleplay Court of Swords. I'm JP McDane, and one of the players here on the show, joined by Adam Coble, GassyMexican, and DansGaming. I almost read your character's name for a second, but we're not just there. I was like, that's not Velimir, that's fucking Max. What am I talking about here? And so we'll kind of just go around here, introduce everyone, and then I think we're just going to get started as fast as possible here, since this is the first episode, and we only have 4 hours, so we want to try to cover as much as possible. So, Max, you've been on West Marches before. You've been in the roleplay world, but you haven't played much D&D.
What's that?
You haven't played that much D&D before besides West Marches, right?
Before West Marches, no, not really. I think West Marches is actually my first D&D experience with it. I played Pathfinder, but role play, but the rule sets are a little different. And also, when you guys do D&D and stuff with West Marches, it's its own world, as is Court of Swords. You guys kind of shape your own thing and kind of play with the rule sets and stuff. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to ask about your character, but maybe we should just wait until the actual show starts. I think all three of us are pretty excited about our characters.
Yeah.
Especially for me, the art, I think, really formed mine from Mr. Dave Stokes. But we'll show that off when we get to them. Dan, how's it going, dude?
Good, man. How about you?
Good. We're glad to have you back here on the role play, or in the role play world. We had you once for a one shot where, what do you remember? What you played, a paladin? No,
I played a fighter.
You played a fighter. That's right. Yeah. And wasn't your name just Dan as well?
It was Seymour Boom. I remember.
Okay, now it's all coming back to me because you used to. There was a bad joke that you used to say, and I hope we've gotten past that, Dan. I hope we've gotten past the.
Yes.
I want to know what was the joke.
Dan, you want to tell him?
I can't remember.
I think he would just say boom anytime you casted a spell, and you would not scream it, but like put a bassy thing to it.
Yeah.
You can go watch the VODs of that one shot.
Yeah, who would do
that.
any sort of one-liners with their character?
I know, but there's a way to do it, and then there's what Dan did, and he meant to do it that way. It wasn't that what he did was bad; it's that he knew it was bad. All right, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. If you've watched the character videos on the Patreon, then you already know kind of everything about our characters. But if not, you're in for a treat. Of course, last but not least, our DM for the show, Adam Coble. How's it going, dude?
Well, it's going good. I'm super excited to take all of the many hours of notes and hand-wringing and turn it into an actual role-playing game. This is the fun part.
Indeed. I think also we should maybe at the start of this, people are probably wondering why there's only three of us. We're going to add guest cast members throughout the show. We've already got one lined up, which we'll be talking about at the very end. And I think we're going to have them join probably week 3 or 4 is what me and Adam were talking. Just because we want to give, Dan and Max and I a little bit to flesh out our own characters.
Yeah.
I think that when you enter into a brand new campaign like this, if you try to do too much character stuff at once and plan ahead too much, sometimes it just doesn't work out. So you really have to let your character come to life by just playing the game.
What JP means by it doesn't work out is you catch a stray arrow and down you go.
Yes, yes, that is also true.
But yeah, I think that's a good point, right? Like you can come to the table with some ideas about your character, but nothing survives actual play. So you'll find that your idea of your character will change and develop as we play. So you'll figure things out.
Indeed. All right. Well, I think 5 minutes is the shortest intro we've ever done. That'll probably change in the future, but for now, I think we just want to jump straight into the game.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So seeing as how this is the first episode, I'll go over just a couple of general world things, kind of get y'all familiar with the world that we're going to be playing in, and then I'll have everyone describe their character, and then we have one last bit of mechanical stuff to tie.
Oh, that's right. We get to do that. I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah. So in the setting that we're playing in, the world is divided into 4 courts: the Court of Swords, the Court of Wands, the Court of Cups, and the Court of Coins, and each one is sort of divinely mandated to run the world in different parts of the world in a certain way. And you, as our group of players, are going to be members of the magistrates, which are a sort of a kind of fantasy FBI of the Court of Swords. You're sent out to patrol the roads, to visit the various towns and cities of the Court of Swords, and to make sure everything is running smoothly. At least that's what people know that the magistrates do. What you're tasked to do, partially in secret because of the danger of the job, is to look out for signs of corruption, and not just political corruption, but magical corruption. So the core kind of religion in the world follows, and this is true no matter what court you belong to, it follows an arc. We pay very close attention in this world to journeys, especially the journey from birth to death, and the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. And the gods of this world are sort of stations along that path, each representing an important stage that someone needs to take in their life. And so priests and clerics in this world are guides for that part of a person's life. However, the arcana, as the gods are known, they're being constantly undermined by a demonic force called the Mara. And the Mara are these sort of tempter demons. No one really understands how they work or where they come from, but it seems to be their priority to take people off the road of enlightenment, to offer them immediate power or riches, and it never works out well for them, or especially for the people around them. This is where we get things like necromancy, demonic infestation. And so underneath your job as magistrates, as keeping track of the well-being of the people of the Court of Swords, your job is to seek out and rid the world of the forces of these temptation demons. So that's what you're going to be doing. Basically, you're instructed to visit towns and keep an eye out for demons. Now, being a magistrate is kind of a big deal. You are considered higher than local law, so you can't be arrested for what you do. You can walk into a town and kill somebody and just say, "Well, tough luck. It's how things need to be." They were breaking the law or whatever. You have a great deal of corporeal power that you can wield, and as such, the magistrates are seen both with respect and also with fear. And when a new magistrate is appointed, people tend to gossip about them and kind of try to understand why they've become a magistrate. The Court of Swords itself appoints them seemingly at random. It's hard to know. There isn't a process. Sometimes people will just be pulled from their job or taken from a place of power and be made into a magistrate, whether they want to or not. So let's learn a little bit about your characters. I want to talk about kind of your characters and how you envision them, and then also their sort of place in the world. Now, you don't have to, again, have like a huge backstory, but I'm interested both from a world perspective of what your character is about, but also kind of what you're excited about kind of playing your character and sort of why you made some of those choices. So JP, you want to start? You want to tell us a little bit about Zafira?
Yeah, so Zafira Win is, I don't know how much do we want to give class here? Do we want to just reveal all the stats?
I mean, the easiest thing will be to tell us your character's class, your character's race, and I'll probably ask a couple of questions about your background.
So Zafira Win is a barbarian. She is I'm playing a female character, which has happened,
Exciting.
I think, twice in the roleplay campaign. Historically, the first female character I had played was incredibly overpowered, so much so that the DM decided I needed to lose an arm so that I couldn't dual wield in the very beginning of that campaign. And then ultimately I ended up dying as well. And she was still broken with fucking one arm. She had +5 attack at level 1 to her any swing because she had 18/98 strength. But anyways, Alice was a fucking beautiful person. And she died a very tragic death to a very cruel DM and monster. But Zafira Win, I'm hoping, is going to be on the same level. She is a air genasi, which I don't know if you could tell. Like, you could tell Max's race from his image that he tweeted out yesterday, but for mine, you couldn't really tell that she was an air genasi. And we'll just show this. I think I still have this here. Nope. We'll bring it up here in just 1 second. We'll show this character. She wields a scimitar. That's Dan's character because I clicked. She wields a scimitar. She has 3 javelins on her back, a small shield, and 2 hand axes, much like any barbarian would with their starting. And you can also see she has an upside down scimitar as the officer insignia because she was in the army prior to joining in as an officer. So she has kind of been around the army her entire life and understands that better than most things. She's quiet, calm, collected most of the time.
Yeah, so the Genasi in this world, if you're not familiar with they come from the supplement, one of the D&D supplements, and they're an optional race. I've included them because the elements are so important to the world. The Genasi are sort of the noble caste of the different courts. So Zephyra is regarded generally like pretty well. She held a position in the army, which is something that the Court of Swords appreciates, and she kind of lines up with what the court expects of a heroic figure. She's kind of an Achilles figure.
Yeah.
So seen generally with reverence as being sort of the chosen people of the Court of Swords.
Yep. And I also think, again, with Max's character, it's a lot easier to show fire than it is to show air on a character. So
Draw air.
Yeah, draw air. Like Dave was just like, I can't. What do you want me to do? And I was like, I don't know, man. You're the artist here. I'm just telling you that she's an air genasi. So I think
Draw me a picture of dignity.
Yeah, I think that her hair, you see that she's an air genasi via her hair around her. She has a mohawk, and it's kind of always like that, but it's also kind of wavy and ethereal in that sense. And you'll also see it through kind of some of the abilities that she has that the Air Genasi race gives her. So there you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's talk about our other Genasi. Max, do you want to tell us a little bit about Velimir?
That me. His name's Velimir Setrovic. And he is a fire genasi. He's about 5'9". He has many simple tastes. No, I'm just kidding. He's 5'9". Obviously, art you can see there, fire in his hair and stuff. I don't know that it's ignited all the time. I know that he has ability because he has a fire genasi. One of his innate ability or inborn abilities is to, summon fire and stuff like that. It's a part of his character and his race. He's kind of a dick, but can be reasoned with. Respects wit, intellect, and kind of has a drive to just better himself in a way. Just as a not getting into his backstory too much, but he kind of a little bit of a lone person for a while early in his life. And yeah, without getting too detailed into his backstory, I mean, you'll kind of figure it out. And his voice and all that stuff is kind of, I don't know. He's Velimir Setrovic, like that. It's kind of like Khajiit inspired, as it were. But
yeah, so
it's the game, so who knows?
So Velimir by merit of name, by accent, and by the fact that you're a fire genasi, all mark him as being a foreigner, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Court of Swords is the air court. It's not common at all to find a fire genasi. So likely Velimir's life here in the Court of Swords would have been a combination of kind of awe, like people seeing you for the first time, never seen a fire genasi before. It'd be very exciting for them, but also some disdain from those who think maybe it doesn't make sense that you have a position as a magistrate. Magistrate's kind of a big deal, and why would they give it to a foreigner? Mm-hmm. But obviously the court itself had a reason for giving you that appointment, whether you understand it as a person or not. You've been given this job to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So, Dan, why don't we talk a little bit about your character?
All right. My character is Baron Hilstern. He's a hill dwarf. He's been raised in a monastery worshiping temperance. He's been raised as a cleric and also has some fighting training with the paladins that were also in the monastery. He's kind of he's not very good with communicating with people because he's a very book-oriented person and spent most of his life isolated in the monastery, so interacting with people is kind of a new thing to him. He's kind of quiet and reserved.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that quiet reservedness actually is often interpreted as probably as ignorance, because the hill dwarves in this setting, they're kind of considered like a backwater people, right? The majority of the people that live in the Court of Swords live along this wide river that runs through the court, and there are hill tribes kind of in the highlands, many of them dwarves, that are sort of considered to be like not lessers necessarily, but they're not necessarily seen as big participants in the sort of global political environment. So your appointment to the magistrates seems probably unusual to some people, but also the fact it's balanced by the fact that you're a cleric of temperance, and temperance is a well-regarded member of the Arcana, a god that respects thought, as you said, study, making choices after thinking them out first, and balancing the goods and bads against one another. And so you were appointed to the magistracy by the court after spending much of your life in a monastery, learning the ways of temperance.
Great.
Cool. All right. So when we first see the characters, they're already partway into a mission. They're doing something for the court. But before you left, and this is a thing that people in the world generally, regardless of the court they live in, this is something that they participate in. Things like fortune telling, fate. It's all very important. There's this idea that people have a destiny that is to be uncovered, and when you set out on your most recent mission, you visited a court-appointed fortune teller, a soothsayer, and they drew your fortune. And what we're going to do is we'll draw cards from the tarot, and each of you will have a card that relates you to one of the other characters. So we'll draw 3. And mechanically in the game, if you make a roll, say you make a persuade roll, or you make an attack roll or a defend roll that has something to do with your bond to another character that we discover here, you'll get advantage on it. Now, as far as advantage goes, we've cut the regular inspiration rules out, and we've simplified them, and we've sort of boiled it down to 2 things. And I don't think right away we're going to reveal what each one is, because I want to give you guys a chance to sort of reveal yourselves as you play. But each character has a drive and a history. And the drive is something that they want. It's something that pushes them forward. And their history is something that comes from their past that affects their behavior. And as the players take actions that are related to their drive, pursuing their drive, or they reveal their history, they can charge their inspiration. And then you can discharge that at any time you want to get advantage on a roll. As well, for people who are familiar with D&D, one other quick thing for the character stuff. If you watch the character creation videos, I talk a little bit more about this there, but we've cut the regular sort of 9 alignments out and replaced them with 5 elemental alignments as well. And unlike in Dungeons and Dragons, this is something that the characters know about themselves. They know they are aligned in this way. It's like a horoscope that was drawn for them at birth. They can't change it. It's the stars they were born under, and it's a way that people will judge them. And often it's a thing that people will talk about in conversation, to say, oh, I was born under air, or I'm a fire sign. And that is something that people will draw conclusions about your character based on when they learn it. So let's jump over to the Roll20 screen, and we will tell our characters' fortunes. And we can talk a little bit about what these might mean, or you can say, like, this thing hasn't happened yet, and we're like waiting for it to happen. It might be something that occurred in your past, in which case you can tie your characters together, or it's something that was foretold, and you're both kind of looking forward to or worrying about it coming true. So let's do. Who should we do first? Let's do Zafira and Baron first.
All right.
So I will. I will
pop
draw
up the tarot thing.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll draw a card and I'll place it on the table for you.
Oh, you're drawing them. Okay.
Yeah. I'll have the deck deal one to me.
This isn't rigged or anything, Adam.
Okay.
Death card.
So for the 2 of you, your connection.
You zoom in on
You should be
this.
able to see there.
The Queen of Pentacles.
The Queen of Tentacles would be a whole other thing.
It's like her sitting there, but like tentacles, like regal.
Yes, an octopus, a tiger. So the Queen of Pentacles is a real person. So pentacles and coins are the same thing. So the Queen of Pentacles is a real person. She's a member of the Court of Coins. And so the 2 of you could be connected through her. Maybe you met at a visit that she took to the Court of Swords, something like that. But she also, as a member of the courts, she has an inherent meaning in her being present in this drawing. So the Queen represents emotional security, calm intuition, and compassionate acts. So Bairn and Zafira are tied together by perhaps an act of compassion or something like that. So the 2 of you can talk a little bit about what that might look like, or you can have it be something that will occur in the future. But this is the card that was drawn for the 2 of you.
Dan, what are you thinking?
I I'm not sure.
Do you want to have it maybe be in the future, or should we have already shown compassion via something that already happened?
I think it's probably better to be in the future since we've kind of just met recently.
Okay. All right.
And that
I'm down
whatever's
with that.
going to happen is going to happen in the future for us.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. So when your characters show compassion or intuition for each other, say you're paying attention to each other's sort of emotional state, then you'll be able to get advantage on those
compassion to each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
mutual compassion.
I'll make note of that.
Yeah. Cool, and that's interesting because Zafira, you are in almost every way, aside from both of you being magistrates, you are Baron's like social better. You are more important than them. Everyone loves you more than they love Baron.
Right.
So this compassion doesn't necessarily need to be, depending on how you want to perceive and play out Zafira. Her compassion might be like the compassion of a rich person for a poor person, right? You're like, oh, this poor hill folk, like I'm going to look out for them. It doesn't have to be like pure compassion, but it also could be. And then vice versa, Baron, you've spent your whole life learning how to think things through and be thoughtful. And that's something that maybe Zafira, as a member of the military, she's more used to action. And so you can show compassion by giving her an opportunity to, hey, like, let's chill a minute and talk about this, right? So the ways that your characters interrelate are through those things, intuition and compassion. Okay, let's do Velimir and Baron now.
Let's do it.
So let's
Do
see
it.
here. So Velimir and Baron, the two of you.
Wow.
That's interesting. Okay, so the two of you are tied by the Queen of Cups. Another Queen card. Same thing. She's a person. She's a member of the Court of Cups, and her card is, let's see. Here we go. Is something to do with practicality, security. There's a sort of down to earth quality of this thing. Now, the court of Cups, they're a very, like, overall a very kind of like, they're about feelings more than they are about thought. The Court of Swords is all about like logic and thinking, whereas the Court of Cups is quite a bit softer. So this could be about your life in the monastery, Baron, and how that affected you. But overall, it's about practicality, sort of down to earth, sort of real things. So did you have any ideas about how you want to play that out?
Dan's thinking.
what Dan's
He's
right
scheming right now.
I'm thinking, you have any ideas, Max?
I don't know, Dan. Do you have any ideas, Dan?
I don't know, do you?
That's kind of, I mean, that's a tough one because it's practicality, right? Like it's a very general sort of thing to go off of as far as
Yeah.
our past or whatever. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, we'll squash that in the future, but that's kind of where we're at right now because we haven't really like fleshed out our characters and stuff. And
Well, it's interesting because both of these together have presented Baron as sort of a grounding element, right?
Exactly,
like
yeah.
the two of you, Zafira and Velimir, you're a little bit more kind of out there and aggressive and take action. And Baron is this sort of quiet, scholarly type who's connected by intuition and calm and practicality. And like it's becoming evident that Baron, you're kind of the emotional center of the three of you.
Well, let me ask you this question: like with the Court of Cups, the Court of Swords, the Court of Wands, and all that, like what kind of relationship do they have amongst each other?
With each other? That's a really good question. So it's mandated by the gods, by the arcana, that the courts are allied, right? They have a bigger enemy. The Mara are always going to be a bigger thing. But that doesn't always play out in reality, right? They're territorial struggles. There have in recorded history been more than a few wars of varying degrees between them, but they're always sort of justified to the people as like, oh no, this is the will of the gods, right? That we struggle so that we can become more powerful. The Court of Swords in particular tends to pick fights and then justify it as, well, it makes more sense for us to have this gold mine because of these numbers, right? And they kind of rely on that. But it's tense, I guess. There's always a tension, even though technically everyone is allied.
I'm going to say me and Dan have had an encounter in the past, and it was very brief. in my travels because my guy's a wanderer. He kind of is a little bit of a lone wolf, but very brief. I don't know him well, but there was an instance where we met up once before.
Would you say incident or instance?
Incident.
Oh, it was an incident. Oh shit.
Okay.
Yeah, as
we can figure that out as we go too. You can always just bring it up and say, like, I want to give for these things, I want to give all of you the ability to just kind of jump in when these things happen. So you don't have to have established it already, but something could happen and Velimir could behave a certain way, and Baron, you could say, oh, this is just like that time, and like refer to it and help us fill that out.
The Court of Cups. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, you could be well traveled, right? It could have been a thing that happened in the Court of Cups. You can take it literally or figuratively as you like. Cool. Okay, so let's draw one for Velimir and Zafira. So our two Genasi.
This is the last one, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
How many cards are there?
In the whole deck, 78, I
Oh,
think.
damn. Oh, shit, Max.
Ooh.
We're picking up trees or something. Oh, God, that guy's a giant, maybe. I don't know.
So this is the 10 of Wands. 10s generally are bad. The 10 of Swords. The 10 of Swords is one of the worst cards in the deck in terms of like meaning. It means like ruin and badness.
Did we just get the grim? Like, what the fuck did we just get?
The 10 of Wands. I'll give you the description. So the 10 of Wands represents burden, responsibility, hard work, stress, and ultimately achievement.
I've got this 100% then. I know exactly.
It definitely means that there's been, between the two of you and in your relationship or because of your relationship, like intense struggle. There's been in your past something one of you maybe had to struggle because of the other, or one is considered a burden to the other. Let's talk about that. It sounds like JP has some ideas.
I think my idea, Max, you tell me if this flies or not, is that you're an outsider to the Court of Swords, right? Like you're not from this land.
Right, foreigner for sure.
And so as a foreigner, I have been tasked to making sure to keep you in check. And it is very hard to keep you in check because you're a fire genasi who maybe steals, maybe fucking squabbles a lot with people.
I am strong-willed.
Dare I say hot-headed? Like there's you've been somewhat of a nuisance, but at the same time, that's not to say that like I'm angry or upset at you. It's just there's been a lot of times where I've had to, so far in our relationship, where I've just had to be like, all right, I have to go deal with Velimir once again. I'll be back, or something like that. Like you're constantly you're a trouble seeker, I guess, like a solver.
Yeah, sounds like you two kind of have a rough relationship, but I'm like the middleman between the two of you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. Maybe like I, the reason that you're with us now, or besides being like, I think the Court of Swords assigned you to us, is that you've definitely taken up that middleman role, and like we butt heads constantly, but you're just like, all right, shut up, kids. Like, let's move on. we got to do what we got to do. I think that's a good dynamic.
Right,
yeah.
A fire starter, you might say.
Yeah. It's very easy to make those puns.
I know.
It makes sense too, because Baron, the humans of the Court of Swords see the hill folk as, kind of like down to earth, simple people, and like, of course, we'll put you to work making sure these two people who are more important than you get along, like mediate. don't let them cause trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That's really good. Cool. All right. So this will stay true. These bonds that you have between you, they'll stay true in the game until you as players decide that you want to have your fortune retold, and the characters visit someone. Every village, every city has at least one fortune teller, someone who is able to retell your fortune for you. So if you feel like you've, as a pair, you've played out your connection, just visit a fortune teller, and we'll draw you a new card, and that'll give you a new bond to explore as something that'll come from the future, or something you'll be able to learn.
And are those fortune tellers seen as someone held in high regard within the world?
Yeah, definitely. So they're considered, people, rich people, like each court especially, but also like nobles and people with money will have one or more of their own personal fortune tellers. And generally across the board, there's a reverence for the stages of fate, for the journey that people take and the way that we tell these fortunes. But some people will hire kind of fake fortune tellers to be like, tell my fortune. Oh, look, sir, another fantastic card for today. Everything's going to go great, right? Like they have sort of yes men fortune tellers that exist in the world too.
Yeah.
But there's a whole society kind of built around that.
Cool.
Yeah. So when we first see the three of you, I think we, imagine a vast jungle, right? Like we're seeing it maybe from a great distance. It's early in the day. The sort of sounds of jungle birds and rushing water kind of fill the air, and it's quite early, I think, in the season of fire, so it hasn't gotten to the intense heat that'll come to this area soon. You can think of it as like late spring, early summer, and we can see the sort of glittering ribbon of the river that runs through the Court of Swords, and maybe peeking up from some places in the jungle, we can see the tops of temples. So every village or town and many places throughout the wilderness have temples to the various stages, the various arcana. And so after we see that, we get a view of a village, a fishing village. So we see docks along the river with the sort of flat bottom fishing boats. It's sort of a placid scene, nice and quiet. And it's early enough maybe that we don't see any of the fishermen. And as we pass over the village, we can see these sort of stilted huts. So in the sort of delta, the area that you're in, the houses here all are up on stilts because during the season of water, the river floods and you can't have your house on the riverbanks. So when the water rises, then the stilts protect the houses, and people use boats to get around during the monsoon season. We see a small temple made of stone. It's the only stone building, and on its side, we can see the watermarks as the river over the ages has risen and fallen. We can see carvings of the face of the sun and the moon, fairly common arcana that are worshipped out in the Riverlands. And we follow a road through this quiet village. And at the end of the road, approaching the village itself, we see our three magistrates. So the three of you traditionally travel on foot. Horses aren't really like there's a main road, and rich people occasionally will use chariots, but horses aren't the kind of big fantasy war horses that we're used to in like Game of Thrones in this world, at least this part of the world. The court of coins employs pack animals, but here, if you want to ride around on an animal, it's going to be an elephant. Now, the three of you have not been entrusted with such a sacred beast, but yeah, I think that the tracks leading into the village, you can see that there are places where the huge feet of elephant have sort of crushed down the earth here, and so the three of you on foot are approaching the village, and you're coming to this village for a particular purpose. The village, which has no name, it's a small enough village that it's just on a list somewhere in the court as its location. This village hasn't paid their taxes in some time. And that's not okay. So several seasons ago, when the members of the court, the sort of royal accountants, realized that the village hadn't tithed any fish or rice to the court for some time, they sent a magistrate. And one is sufficient to go and scare up the taxes. These things happen sometimes. There's a bad season. The villagers forget to pay. So they sent a magistrate. But that was months ago. And no one heard back from the magistrate, nor any word at all from the village.
Do we know the magistrate's name?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, no, you don't. Okay. It was not told to you. You were instructed. You were redirected. I think you were in a larger town, maybe kind of living it up. You're awarded things for being magistrates. People want you to stay in their inns, and they give you food. And so you were in a period of rest, kind of enjoying the end of the season of air. And and then you were called away to go to this backwater village and find out where the missing magistrate is, and also to get the tax situation sorted out. And so we see you approaching the village. And I think that when we first see you, this is your first sight of the village. It's far enough away. There's still sort of river haze, but you do see the various villages. And Baron, you can spot the stone spire of the temple in the middle of the village.
If we look towards the village, how many, what is the size of a village in this world, or of this village in this world?
Yeah, so this is a pretty small backwater. So I mean, you would measure it in families. Family.
That's how the court keeps track of it.
Yeah, in the Riverlands, the family is led by kind of things as above, so below. So the court is run by 4 individuals. There's the king, the queen, the page, and the knight. And the family structure in the courts follow much the same. It's often a mother and father figure. Those aren't necessarily gender specific, so it's not always a woman who is the queen. But there's a sort of mother and father figure, and then the 2 eldest children, and then the rest of the family. And families tend to cluster together. So grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and the aunts and uncles all kind of cluster around this group of 4.
Okay. Do we know the races of said families? Is it just a hodgepodge of?
The vast majority of people in the Riverlands are human. As you get up into the hills, the humans intermingle with dwarves. So there are pure dwarves, pure hill folk like Bairn,
Okay.
but there are also varying degrees of kind of interbreeding. There's no half dwarves, but you can have like hill folk blood. If you live in a city and you have hill folk blood, you tend to keep it on the DL so people don't judge you for it. Humans make up the vast majority of everyone on the planet, basically. And only recently, in certain parts of the court, and I think as members of the Court of Swords, you would know this, there's a race of supposedly immortal creatures. They're sort of ethereal. It said they have long ears and like are all unusually beautiful. They've started to appear in the jungle and have been driving people from their homes and building structures out of the living wood of the jungle. They're considered kind of like a threat. No one really knows who these people are, but they've started to appear with more and more frequency as the seasons have gone on in the last few years.
Okay. And how far out from the town are we?
I'd say once you come around the bend and you can see the edge of the village, you're probably still about a mile out. You would guess, to answer your original question, you'd guess that there's probably like less than 100 people in a village this size. They just fish this part of the river, live out their simple. They live out their simple lives here, and they're supposed to pay their taxes, but they seem to have forgotten.
Okay. I think Velimir is probably just spouting off. You're regaling a story of something, Velimir. So I guess as you're doing that, I just cut in and say, Velimir, it's enough. All right, we need to get into this town and make this job easy. And get out of there. I want Baron to talk to them.
We could spend time fishing if we want. Can you believe the village like this is so shitty at paying?
You can fish anywhere, Velimir. All right, there's water all
I want
around.
to fish here.
This is the land of my people. All right, have some respect, please.
Thank you,
Fair
Baron.
enough.
Thank you.
Baron, I believe these, as it is the land of your people, you should be the one talking to these.
Yes,
village.
we should try to find the leader and talk with him and figure out if you've seen the magistrate that was here.
So what that means, Velimir, is that you must be quiet the entire time. Please don't speak. Your words tend to incite anger among many
We
people.
shall see how it goes.
And these people are probably very suspicious of foreigners, so keep at a distance, please.
Just
Very
please,
well.
Velimir. This is the easiest. We're literally just taking money from these people.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. We've done
Not
it
enough.
before. We don't need any trouble.
Just
I can
here.
hear reasonably.
If you're good, we'll go fishing afterwards, and you won't have to steal them. We'll actually go get fishing rods and fish.
Do not talk to me like I am child.
Sometimes I have to. I just kind of like put my hand or my head up in the air and continue walking.
Okay. As you approach the village, the morning sun rises over the jungle and starts to sort of burn off some of the mist from the river. And you notice at the edge of the jungle, I would say about like 3/4 of the way between you and the village, you see a group of birds, of black birds, probably crows or ravens, and they're all clustered around and pecking at something. There's a body, there's some carrion off to the side of the road that you're starting to draw nearer to.
Okay. How far? You said it's off the side of the road, but how far forward is this?
It's like most of the way toward the village. It'd be the next thing you would approach between here and the actual.
Well,
village.
I think the second that I notice it, without speaking, I point to it and kind of like eye both Velimir and Baron. And if I can, I want to try to make a perception check to see if I could understand what caused this, or if there's anything on the side of the road that looks like some sort of. Because I'm a soldier, so my understanding would be like, what caused this? Or are we about to be attacked?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Basically, what I'm trying to do is use danger sense, but I don't have that yet. So,
so you're actively stopping the progress of the group and taking a look around, getting stock of the situation.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead and make that roll.
Okay.
Good start.
Not so good. Not so good
right.
there. Also, just for chat to understand, it rolls 2, and we always take the left unless we have advantage. We take the better of the 2.
Yeah, and if you have disadvantage, you take the
Yes.
lesser of the 2. Yeah.
So I rolled a
the
3 effectively, which is
Exactly.
I rolled a 2 plus a 1 on a d20.
So, So why do you fail? What's distracting you? This should be easy.
It's literally Velimir. I don't know what he's doing, but you tell me.
Burn that house. Look at these people. They look like they haven't paid in months.
Yeah, my soldier brain can't work under the words, the heavy weighted words of Velimir as he's talking about burning everything.
Velimir's crackling voice is eating up all your attention. Yeah. I mean, so all you can see is there's something that has attracted some carrion birds, and there's no more detail you can get from here. You'll have to get closer.
Yeah, I just say to the group, I'm like, all right, be on your guard. This never bodes well. Velimir, please keep calm. They can hear you from miles and miles and miles and miles.
Please,
and miles.
I am so spoken right now. Only if I get angered will I get louder.
Maybe my eye raises when you say that. I'm just like, why don't you get closer, since you are the sneaky one of us, and we'll stay back here.
I see. You want me to die quickly.
No, we just want you to take a look. Please do not touch the body. There may be disease on it.
You want me to take a look?
Just take a look.
Okay.
A scout, if you will, as we would say in the army.
I guess I'm going to try to stealth. I could roll perception as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, you can roll perception from here to see if you can pick up on anything at this distance before you.
Try to take stock of the situation myself, just because I'm now kind of, Elmir's just now drawing his attention more towards what we're doing.
All right. So is this normal for you? Like getting bossed around by Zafira like this? Like she seems to be acting like she's in charge, but you're all
She
equal
believes
in
that she's
rank.
in charge, and this is her way of trying to keep me in check. Velimir kind of humors her a bit.
Yeah, I think just with any situation, and these two are definitely privy to that. Like I just always try to take charge, even if I'm not the person in charge and I'm clearly outranked in the room. I'll still act like I am in charge of the situation. Then if I can't visibly or publicly be in charge, so it's just situational.
This is nothing new to Velimir. It's Zafira trying to take charge or whatever of this scenario. He tends to humor her a little bit in kind of like it's like, okay, whatever, yeah. But when the shit goes down, then he doesn't take kindly to being actually bossed around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I'm getting a like, well, I was gonna do that anyway kind of vibe. Like, yeah, should I stealth? Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe that's the thing I was gonna do. Okay, so go ahead and make your perception check. So taking a quick look around at the situation.
Okay. So just what? Slash roll 20?
Nope, you can just click on your character sheet. Yeah, if you pop your character sheet open, if you just click the perception skill, and we'll automatically roll for you.
Oh my God, this is so amazing. I almost click performance. Perception. Here we go.
I mean, you can do a performance. if you
Hey,
want.
not bad.
That's better. Okay.
Much better.
All right. So what are you looking for in particular, right? Like Zafira is very much like military, like looking for threats, kind of looking like where in the jungle where you could be ambushed for. How does Velimir, what are you looking for differently? Like what's your angle on this?
I'm going to be 100% honest. What were we actually looking at?
The corpse.
The situation
The corpse.
as spurred by a bunch of carrion birds pecking at a body.
Yeah, okay. Well, Velimir is kind of trying to determine what sort of wounds they have, anything from his history that he may have, any sort of familiarity of how they died, what they were attacked by, and perhaps where the attackers may have gone and come from.
All right. So I think from this distance, you can figure tracks, right? You can look around. It honestly doesn't look like anyone has used this road in a while, right? It's not the main road. You've splintered off. The only reason anyone would really use this road would be to send someone to a bigger town or like a mail carrier to come into the village for whatever reason. Occasionally priests, use the roads to visit temples and stuff, but there's not, there's no recent tracks here. And as far as the corpse goes, I think the only thing that you can really tell at this distance is there are a lot of carrion birds. This body is big. Whatever it is, they're pecking at something that's a significant meal. So probably not either not one small thing. It might be a bunch of smaller things that are dead in the same place, or one larger body. If you get closer, you'll be able to tell more.
I guess I'm just gonna get closer, try to be stealthy, just as his way, just approaching things very carefully.
Okay, all right. Let's have you roll stealth to see how stealthy you are. I'll let you we'll keep your perception roll because it's kind of the whole situation. All right,
Great.
All right.
Did you?
You
rolled a 1.
Not that stealthy. Poor
The
showing.
first one of the show.
Poor showing by Velimir. It's okay. So the thing is, the reason I think that you're having a hard time being stealthy, like you're quiet, you're walking quietly. That's not hard to do. The jungle is making jungle noise to cover you. There's just nowhere to hide. There's no shadow, right? Like the sun is coming. The sun is coming right down the road.
Do we just see Velimir just like go low like this and start walking in the
like in
street?
Skyrim, just walking.
Yeah. So if that's what we see, I'm just like,
how it's
oh, Baron. Velimir just didn't understand what I was asking once again. And here we are watching him walk awkwardly down the road.
He's simple, but he has a charm to him. You
Yeah.
have to admit it.
You're
I
right.
heard
Strange, confused foreigner. So so you approach quietly, and I think you startle the birds who like scramble and fly to nearby treetops with a squawk, and they haven't left. Like they're not so frightened that they're going to run away from their meal, but they scramble to the nearby treetops and kind of hang out on these branches and cock their heads at you as you approach. And the body, you confirm upon approaching more closely. And I think the thing we see first is one massive ivory tusk, one big curling tusk coming up out of what appears to be several days old, well-picked clean carcass of an elephant. You can see the shape of its skull and its ribs and the various piles of bones. The viscera that remains has been picked over by a handful of tiers of larger scavengers. So all that's left is just food for the birds, bits and pieces of leftover organ meat. And it occurs to you in your mind, like you have a thought somewhere that you're like, aren't elephants important to people around here? Like these people like elephants or something, but you don't have the cultural context to remember why you know that or think that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm gonna scamper back over to the group and be like,
there is a dead elephant there. It has been dead for a long time. I don't know what that is all about, but it's weird.
Did we you said the importance of elephants in the region. Did we hear anything about elephants being killed for poaching reasons or anything like that
So
before we left? Maybe in the news or in the court.
yeah, why don't you make a let's see, let's make
That'd be
a
an insight.
well, insight is mostly for telling when people are lying to you or hiding their feelings.
Okay.
I think in this case it would be history, probably history or investigation, whichever you prefer.
They're both a 0 for me. So
I have a 2. I could roll history.
could we?
Yeah, now, so this is an opportunity to talk about helping. So if you both, because you're both part of the Court of Swords culture, if you want to contribute together of like, hey, do you remember anything about this? And like kind of talk it out. One person rolls and the other person contributes to allow them to have advantage. So you'll be able to pick
Okay.
the two.
So
one of the two
I'll
dice
roll
that's
and then I'll let Dan. I'll be the advantage basically to Dan's roll.
right, because Baron has a higher history.
Yeah. So here's my history roll.
Okay, you actually don't have to. You don't have to roll.
Oh, you don't?
As if
He
you're-
just gets the
yeah.
bonus? Fuck,
just automatically
I
get-
fucking should have rolled history.
Oh.
Okay, so go ahead and roll.
Jeez.
Well,
there
there
we
you
go.
go. You got a crit. You were critically historical. So
Oh, man.
makes perfect sense for
The
for-
light shines down around Baron as he reflects on elephants being poached in the region.
Yeah. So this is actually great because Baron, now you're a priest of temperance. Your job predominantly, like you specifically, but the priests of temperance in general, clerics of temperance, their job is to keep people from making ill-advised decisions because of things like grief or rage or whatever, right? You're there to help them process their emotions and then make the right decision to move them along the path. And you also, what's your? You chose a domain, a sort of specialization for your cleric.
Life domain.
Yeah. So you're well versed in the idea of keeping people healthy. That's something that Temperance does as well. They have part of their shrines is for like setting broken bones and keeping people alive so they can continue their journey towards enlightenment. So you're familiar with the way that people interact with other living things. Now, elephants are, they occupy a sort of special place in the Riverlands in that they're both revered, but they're revered from a practical standpoint. We revere them because they do so much for our culture. They pull logs once we cut trees down. They are used to dig trenches and foundations for buildings. And so people revere them for the place they have in society. And most of the time when an elephant dies, they die of old age. Elephants kind of realize that they're dying and they will wander off into the jungle to die, and they're gone. They leave us. To find one dead on the side of the road like this definitely means it's come to some harm or grew sick, and its mahout, its like rider, was either also sick, injured, or killed. Elephants pair with a particular person who takes care of them, and if they do a bad job of that, it's considered karmically not very good for them. So something definitely ill is afoot, but if the tusks are still there, it's probably not poachers, because not all of the courts, let's say, have the same reverence for these beasts, and sometimes people from other courts will come to the jungles to hunt them and carry away their ivory. But there's two, it has its tusks. All its bones are in place.
Okay.
So something is definitely amiss.
So what do you say to us, Baron?
I know that elephants are sort of revealed amongst these people, and to find one just dead here that hasn't been poached, there's something's not right. We need to be on our toes because something in this village is off. Because these people should have had great respect for this animal. Yes, it's been left here and to rot. So something is not right, and maybe related to why the Magister is also dead, missing.
I agree as well. It's very strange.
So when we approach the village, we need to be very cautious.
Velimir, did you happen to see what caused the death? Was there enough remains for that? Perhaps an entry wound or a strike?
I just saw, like, from what I saw, right? Just there was nothing, right? Wasn't there?
Yeah, it was hard for you to tell. If you took a minute to make an investigation check, like really like look over the bones and stuff, then you could do that. But at a glance with just perception, there was no obvious sign
Are we all right by the elephant right now? Like, have we all?
No, you're still
pretty
back.
far
Unless
away.
you,
We're still
I
pretty
mean,
far away.
you could have been having this conversation as you approach, but I assume since you didn't approach it, you didn't tell me you didn't approach it, so I assume you're still kind of like further back up the road.
Yeah. I did not see enough. I'm not sure. It was picked clean though.
On the other side of the road, like how far off the road is there a tree line? Is there a tree line off the road?
Yeah. The trees come quite close to this road because we say road, but like there are like vines going across it in places, and you had to kind of like chop away because the jungle grows fast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really only a path. It's only maybe like two people can walk side by side.
So at that point, I draw my scimitar and say, let us move on, perhaps on the side. That way, if anyone jumps us, we can perhaps get the jump on them.
I like this. I will do the same.
I draw my sword and just kind of at the ready, just in case, because it feels very strange, very odd. I don't like the air about the town right now.
Baron, does this work for you?
In this case, I have to agree because something is amiss here.
Fantastic. Then we are all agreed, and I start walking towards the forest and chopping my way through it if there's anything.
Okay, cool. Well, do you want to take our first break there? Everybody draws their weapons and starts to approach.
Cool. Yeah. We'll take our first break there. We still got 3 hours left to go here on the premiere of Court of Swords. Thanks everyone for being with us. We'll be right back after this quick break. We'll see you then.